This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
And off we go. Welcome, glad to have you along for another edition of the Farm Monitor, the only place to get your weekly fix regarding Georgia agriculture. If you are new to the show, I am Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. Days of hard work now ready for your viewing pleasure. Straight ahead, get ready for some summer vibes because Georgia's sweet corn harvest is in full swing. As one producer described it, despite a few bumps along the way, things are looking pretty good. From college graduate to promising entrepreneur, discover one young lady's success of Bailey's Buds and Blooms, where passion meets petals.
And then later, one man's life forever changed in the blink of an eye. Witness the incredible resilience of this Henry County farmer and the power of unity after a car accident nearly destroyed his livelihood. These stories and so much more right now on the Farm Monitor. Needless to say, sweet corn producers have been going through quite a roller coaster this season, but hey, they're not giving up. They're out there putting in some serious sweat and tears. As John Holcomb reports, despite all the hurdles that were faced in the beginning, producers still managed to pull off a fantastic crop.
Nothing says summer like fresh sweet corn, and producers here in southwest Georgia are hard at work getting this season's crop out of the field and to market. One operation that's doing just that is Rent's Family Farms, and according to manager Kevin Rentz, other than a couple of hiccups, it's been a decent season for growing sweet corn.
It started off really warm when we started planting. Then we had a cold snap, which just kind of gave us some issues with some of these earlier fields we planted. But it's starting to shape up now. We're getting into some better corn. It's been fairly mild all the way through, though, not really any terrible temperatures to hurt the crop.
Rentz says that so far, this year's harvest is going well, and the crop has turned out to be a good one.
Harvest has been good so far. We had, like I said, we had a little bit of issue with our first few plantings from that little cold snap, but the corn quality is really picking up now. Harvest is going good. We're fixing to be past the Memorial Day push, so we'll kind of slow down for about a week, and then we'll start ramping back up for Father's Day and 4th of July. And we hope to finish strong on everything. The crop looks good and uniform from here on out. We try to make our first planting come off before Memorial Day. We try to get as much in the pipeline because that's a big push, you know, barbecues and people going to the beach. So we try to get 100 to 150 acres out for Memorial Day. And then we kind of we slow down a little bit, and then Father's Day is a big holiday, you know, for cooking. And then, of course, 4th of July is a big one. So we try to plant our acres to match the times when the demand is the most.
According to Rentz, however, sweet corn isn't the easiest crop to grow, as he says it's fast-paced and requires a lot of attention.
It's a pretty fast-paced crop, you know. Once the seed's in the ground, you've got to stay on top of it, getting your fertilizer out. And especially once it tassels, you know, we're pretty much trying to scout this stuff pretty regular, make sure no worms are in it. It gets, you know, we have to come out and make some pesticide applications. But it's very fast-paced. It's a short season crop, you know, normally 75, 80 days we've got this crop in and out, which is the good thing about it. But I enjoy growing sweet corn because it's so fast-paced, and we can get another crop in behind it once we get this out.
As you can see, it's a labor-intensive crop as well, as Rentz says it's best to harvest sweet corn by hand.
It's gentler, you know, when everything's hand harvested. I mean, they see every ear, they feel every ear. You know, we try to throw out the bad stuff as it's going. Where if it was machine harvested, it'd just take everything. And, you know, but there's human error involved in that too, but it's just a smooth operation. It's kind of like a well-oiled machine, the way they do this, being hand harvested.
Reporting in Bainbridge for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Meantime, a new report is providing insight regarding the importance of local agriculture. Commissioned by 25 food and agriculture groups, the Feeding the Economy report highlights the impact of the food and agriculture sector. Veronica Nye, American Farm Bureau Federation senior economist, says the report illustrates the critical role agriculture plays in our economic system and adds the data in this latest report is another tool in the toolbox for advocates telling the story of agriculture, especially when talking to legislators.
I think this is certainly an excellent tool for agriculture. When we think about legislation that's being considered in 2023, certainly when your legislator comes back into your district and wants to talk about things like the Farm Bill, it's important to let them know how important agriculture is in every part of the United States. So it certainly highlights the farm to fork nature of agriculture and that our reach is well beyond our fence rows.
If graduating college, preparing for a master's program, and serving as an ambassador for Georgia Farm Bureau wasn't enough, Bailey Rayfield is also running her own successful business. Damon Jones profiles her budding flower operation and all the hard work it takes to maintain those fields.
If you're looking for a little flower power around the city of Adel, you need look no further than Bailey's Buds and Blooms, where a recent college graduate has turned her passion into a thriving business.
I started working at one of the largest ones in Georgia, in North Georgia, called Whimsy Flower, up under Jennifer Logan, the owner. And I really just found my passion, so I moved back down south and I decided to invest in my business. So I started building my greenhouse, built my flower barn, and then I started cultivating my land here behind me. And ever since then, this is my third growing season, and it's just where my passion is.
In those 3 years, Bailey has learned a number of valuable lessons, such as time management, planting techniques, and of course, dealing with the unexpected.
No season is ever the same. This season has been by far the weirdest because we've actually had a spring here in South Georgia, which is usually unheard of. And so, you know, my flowers are a little bit later than usual. I planted some early in the greenhouse this season and the cold got them. That's just kind of the things you have to adapt and change.
Owning and operating a flower farm is anything but easy, as months of preparation and hard work in the fields go into creating each and every one of these bouquets.
I start everything in the greenhouse from seed about the beginning of March. I try not to plant too early, just kind of depend on that Easter rule that a lot of farmers go by. And then after they become seedling plugs, I transplant out into the field. I typically transplant into mushroom compost, and then, you know, before I go into planting, you know, I cultivate my land, till it, take soil test, add in fertilizer and lime when needed.
And a couple of months later, the flowers are ready to come out of the field. But to make sure you get the most out of all that time and effort, the proper timing and technique is essential.
When you're cutting a flower, you have to make sure you're not cutting blooms. You have to make sure that, you know, you're cutting at the appropriate length, all those types of things. And, you know, you don't want to cut them too late and you don't want to cut them too early. If I want to, you know, with sunflowers, you have to make sure that if you're going to want it for several days, that you have to, you know, cut it when it's kind of still closed up and then let it open out. Azenia, the same thing. My bouquets typically last 10 to 14 days on a counter.
Those in the area will get a chance to check out this operation firsthand on June 17th, as it will host the area's first ever pick and shop event, which will honor the Georgia Farm Bureau's birthday.
You come to the farm, $15 to get in. That includes your you-pick flowers for the day, and you'll get a personalized Bailey's Buds and Blooms cup as well to put your flowers in. You'll get a decorative cookie and a water bottle. But if you become a Georgia Farm Bureau member that day, you get in free. And you still get you-pick and all those types of things as well. So we're really looking forward to hosting this event at the farm. Hope to bring out, you know, the local communities, people throughout the state in to come see the farm, enjoy the outside. It's a family-friendly event. And we can't wait to see everybody.
Reporting from Cook County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Well, no doubt farming is a labor of love, and Russell Brydson faced his toughest battle yet when a car accident threatened his love for farming, not to mention his livelihood. After the break, how the community farmers market rallied behind him and the unwavering spirit that sustained his operation.
In the heart of Metro Atlanta, the farmers market season is now in full swing, connecting local farmers with customers from Decatur, Grant Park, Virginia Highlands, and beyond. But sometimes life throws unexpected challenges at those who work the land. The person you're about to meet, Russell Brydson, recently faced one of those challenges. Fortunately for Russell, this story has a happy ending. It's a story of how a tight-knit farming community rallied together to support one of their own in a time of need.
So we're on 12 acres. Of that, we farm around 7 acres with a mixture of fruits and vegetables. We've been here since the 2015, December 2015, and we've been farming full-time since around 2017.
Russell Brightson is the heart and soul of Narrow Way Farm. His dedication and passion for farming sustains his family and provides fresh produce for restaurants, wholesalers, farmers markets, basically anyone in need. However, on March 30th of this year, fate had something else in store for him. After the first market of the season, Russell was driving back to his farm when a car accident left him injured and his van totaled.
I remember, came up to the light, was coming up to the light was turning red. I was a little annoyed because the guy in front of me slowed down, so we missed the light. And we waited there. The light turned green arrow, and then he turned and I turned afterwards. And halfway through the turn, boom, fractured my sternum. End up in the trauma center at Grady, till the morning, and still recovering. Just thankful because sometimes my sons go with me to market, so I was just happy that no one's in the passenger seat because there's no more passenger seats. So it's if that had happened, we'd have another conversation. So.
Now, don't get me wrong. Not that there's ever any good time for a car accident, but in Russell's case, his accident, the broken sternum, it couldn't have come at a worse time. The spring crops, they were ready to be harvested, and the summer crops, well, they had to be planted as soon as possible. This left Russell and his family very concerned about how they would catch up while he continued to heal from his injury.
We're getting all the beds ready. We planted out all the tomatoes and finishing up the lettuce and things like that. So if we're delayed a month or two, that's a big impact to us financially. So I was ready to kind of get back up and running. And it's like a worst case scenario, a week, maybe a week and a half. And I realized I had difficulty just sitting up, just laying down, couldn't roll to one side or not. So it was kind of a humbling experience, and it kind of, for that time, it slowed me down, and I was able to, I made use of the time. We kind of spent a little more time as a family during some of those times, and yeah, so it was rough. That was a couple weeks.
One thing about farmers, no matter the size of their operation or how much they produce, when one goes down and is staring adversity in the face, typically others band together to support that person and their family. That's exactly what happened in Russell's situation, as the community farmers markets wasted no time in lending a hand.
Our farmers are so supportive of each other, and the job of a farmer it's so hard, and I think that they all really are able to empathize if something goes wrong. So many farmers were able to jump in and help him and just support, spread the fundraiser that we did for him, and even come out and help do some work on his farm as well. So it's one of the things I love, and it's why we have the name Community Farmers Markets, because that element is so important, and that's kind of the strength to what we bring to the work that we do.
It's a joy, man. It's to realize that people care about you, because in this world we live in, people caring about you is not a common thing. It's not a common thing at all. So to know that, hey, there's someone that cares about you and want to see you succeed, and are willing to take time out of their day to make a little sacrifice to come out. So yeah.
Have you replaced the van? Or?
Yes, actually, the same organization, CFM, they actually donated the van. They had an old market van. It had a cracked windshield, and it was just sitting there in the parking lot. And they said, hey, you know what, Russell, we have this van. It's not the prettiest thing, but it might work for you.
As the farmers market season continues, Russell Brighton is back on his feet, grateful for the unwavering support from his friends and fellow farmers at CFM. But if there is one thing he has taken away from this entire process, it is this.
Told me to pace myself and kind of be more moderate in all things, kind of a thing. So it's allowed me to do that. And it also taught me to appreciate others. Sometimes you're helping somebody out, you're not thinking of getting a return back, but there's a point in time that you might need help as well. So it's just be kind to one another and do what's best for each other. So.
He is one lucky man. Glad he's okay. When we come back, there's a menace threatening our agriculture and natural resources, and you can help stop it. The fight against the spotted lanternfly when the Farm Monitor continues.
The spotted lanternfly is an invasive pest found in several counties in the northeast United States and is threatening American agriculture and natural resources.
It damages more than 70 types of plants, including grapevines, fruit trees, and hardwoods.
We need your help to look for and report it. Spotted lanternflies excrete a sticky fluid that promotes mold growth and weakens plants. First seen in Pennsylvania in 2014, this invasive pest has been found in nearby states because people unknowingly moved infested materials or items containing egg masses. Most states are at risk because this pest, in all stages, can easily hitchhike on things we move. So to stop the spread of spotted lanternfly, we're working with state and local partners and you. Look for spotted lanternflies year-round. When they're young, in spring and summer, they are black with white spots and turn red as they mature. Adults with their colorful wings are easy to spot in late summer and fall. Newly laid egg masses look like wet gray putty before turning dull and brown, like cracked mud. Look for egg masses in fall, winter, and spring on all variety of outdoor surfaces like trees, bricks, stones, fences, grills, outdoor equipment, and vehicles. They gather in groups and feed on trees, especially the invasive tree of heaven or Ailanthus, its preferred host. If you see spotted lanternfly, report it. Contact your State Department of Agriculture or Cooperative Extension Office. Learn more at the Hungry Pests website, aphis.usda.gov/hungrypests/SLF.
Yeah, those things are a major threat to U.S. agriculture and have already been sighted as far south as North Carolina. So it's only a matter of time before they make their way down to Georgia here. Experts say if you see them, stomp on them.
Well, finally this week from our partners at the Georgia Association of Conservation Districts comes a story about the GACD. A really good perspective on what the organization does and the vital role they play when it comes to Georgia ag and conservation.
Soil and water conservation needs will vary drastically across the state depending on where you are, and the role of a soil and water conservation district can also vary drastically. Here in urban areas, we have very impacted streams that are heavily urbanized, they're eroded, they're really polluted, and our role here as a soil and water conservation district is to try to help them heal and try to prevent further impacts from either nearby developments, erosion and sedimentation issues, or stormwater runoff. So it's a very common misconception that sediment or mud or dirt is not a problem for our waterways. It is a very common pollutant that in large volumes has heavy impacts on our waterways. It fills up these creeks. It carries other pollutants with it, causes flooding downstream, and it causes a ton of property damage and clogs culverts, takes out roadways, causes a lot of problems. And when we have too much mud coming off of these development sites, it's too late once it gets into the creek. So we work very hard with these developers, with these local governments, to make sure we have these silt fences, make sure we have these BMPs in place to keep it here to prevent the downstream property damage.
Our district, the Fulton District, is the most urban district in Georgia. We have over 1 million residents, but we impact major river systems, and all of those are heavily impacted by this urban population. So helping people do the right thing is one of our main jobs, and it impacts almost everybody in Georgia. Over 2 million people get their drinking water out of the Chattahoochee River, so that's something we are very interested in. One of the biggest problems in an urban area is impervious surfaces, and that's rooftops, pavement, parking lots, anything where the water just hits the ground and runs off the pavement. And that usually creates flooding and problems downstream for everybody. So what we encourage is green infrastructure, where the water, we have green spaces where the water is encouraged to absorb into the ground. And what this does, it mitigates flooding, and it also provides a higher water table during drought times, so that you have a higher base flow in your streams as they move south of here, which is very important for farmers in South Georgia.
When Hugh Hammond Bennett got this Soil Conservation Service enacted, shortly thereafter, conservation districts were formed across the country. And these conservation districts were formed in sometimes as small as 1 county, sometimes as big as 9. And the purpose of those is to have representation from those districts to know what's going on the land and to advise the government, to advise Soil Conservation, Natural Resource Conservation Service of what's needed in a particular area to meet the concerns that are there. Because what's needed in South Georgia is totally different from what's needed in the Chesapeake Bay area. So these districts were formed, and in Georgia we have 40 districts. Every county in the state is represented by a district, and you know what's needed in North Georgia in the mountains is totally different from what we need in the coastal plains. So we're there to kind of help represent and bring forward what's needed and address the problems, and also educate others as to how to take care of the land better and to educate. And that's the purpose of conservation districts within our area. A younger farmer has to realize that a conservation effort is a long-term thing. It's not, you may have to spend the money to correct a wash. That correcting a wash doesn't mean taking a disc harrow and harrowing over it every spring and planting a crop. It means correcting a problem so that wash doesn't happen again. It's costly, and it's an effort, and it's not going to be something that's going to be recouped in 1 year. But if that erosion is stopped, that land is going to produce more, and it's going to get better and better. So it's a long-term investment. But my dad taught me a long time ago, if you take care of the land, it'll take care of you. And all of our producers need to realize that we have to take care of the land if we're going to receive anything out of it. We have to take care of the land.
All right, big thanks to the GACD for that, and thank you for making this show possible.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor. Stay safe. Enjoy your week.